Hey everybody, and welcome back to Luna's Extreme Mustang Makeover series. These videos have taken me a long time to get to, partially because I'm really busy with school and such, but also because it's hard to go back and watch these videos and see where you went wrong and know that you can't fix it now. But that's what horsemanship is about. We're always evolving and always learning, and hopefully there's still some stuff that y'all can take away from these videos. So I started out Luna with trotting bareback, which is not something I usually do and probably not something I'll do again. But basically I'm just encouraging her to have forward motion. I'm not trying to get her to jump right into the trot. I'm just pushing her to go a little faster until that trot becomes more comfortable than walking super fast. So this is where you see a mistake happen. I reached down to tie Luna's lead rope around to the other side of her halter so that I could use both reins, and she spooked at it and I was caught off guard and off balance and I fell off. So I probably pushed her too fast. I wish I could go back and do things different, but obviously I can't. Also, I highly recommend the use of helmets when you're starting colts. I don't always, but do what I say, not what I do. So I got back on after doing some desensitizing to the rope, lots of jumping on either side of her, and I just continued the ride like nothing happened. I was a little more cautious when I got back on. I did a lot more hindquarter yielding just to gain control of her feet. So this is about where I ended the ride. I would have walked her around some more to get some more of her confidence back, but unfortunately I had to get off and go to class. So this was obviously another ride a few days later. That day I mostly worked on desensitizing her to a rider being above her. After the last time I fell off, she lost some of her confidence and got a bit spooky about what me and my hands were doing up above her in the saddle, and that became a problem that was really hard to work through over the next few weeks. So every time I shift my weight, Luna kind of stops and tenses up and doesn't want to move forward. So what I'm working on is I'm shifting my weight. Even if she stops, I keep doing it, and then I'm yielding her forequarters to unbalance her and get her thinking about moving forwards. So when she moves forwards comfortably while I'm shifting my weight, that's when I let her stop and thank her. So here I'm working on having her trot out comfortably, and once she does so, I ask her to stop by sitting deep, taking my legs off and saying, whoa. She doesn't listen because she doesn't know that cue yet, but that's okay. So when she didn't listen, I picked up on the halter pressure and asked her to stop, and then I bent her around to each side to keep her soft. So now I'm working on having her hold that trot until she is asked to stop. As you can see, she keeps wanting to break down to the walk. So I don't get too worried when she does. I just put on leg pressure and ask her to move back up into the trot. And once she's trotting, I take off that pressure and let her trot out comfortably without me telling her to do anything. So this way she begins to realize that if she breaks down to the walk without being asked, I'm going to annoy her a little bit until she's trotting again, and then once she's trotting, I stay out of her way. So she learns to realize that that trot is where she wants to be unless I tell her otherwise. So once again, I am working on desensitizing her to a rider from above. So with one hand, I'm holding onto the reins, and with the other, I'm going to move around, touch her on the hindquarters, and make a little bit of noise. I don't mind the first few times if I reach back and touch her and she stops, because I would rather her stop than bolt, but eventually I start working towards her continuing forward motion while I reach back and touch her so that she doesn't have any sort of a reaction at all. So now I have an over-under in my hand because she's getting stuck and not wanting to move out when I reached back and touched her. So what I'm going to do is touch her with that hand and ask her to move out, and if she doesn't move out, I'm going to tap her with that over-under until she does. And once she's moving out at the trot, I just leave my hand there and rub on her, let her know that that hand doesn't always mean go. So you can see now she's kind of figured it out. She just needed a little bit of extra help and a little bit of push to work through her negative feelings about my hand on her hindquarters. So this time I actually ask her to stop, and she stops just off of the seat, which was really nice because she's really learning how to anticipate. So now I'm working on being able to reach my hand back and forth and not just leave it there, because the sight of the hand moving was also something that really made her nervous. So now I start working on patting on my legs and making a bit of noise up here. As you can see, that makes her really nervous and reactive, which she wasn't before. So I think she drew from that negative experience where I fell off a few days prior and really held on to that because it became a really tough obstacle for us to overcome throughout our journey together. So you can see right here where I reach back and touch her again, she gets uncomfortable, kind of tucks her butt. I just ignore it, I keep going, and then she loped off on me, which wasn't a terrible reaction. It was okay. But I brought her back in by pulling back on one rein and had her stop, and then I went right back to doing what I was doing. So this is when I noticed that the times she would react the most are when I would bring my hand out very wide and bring it back to the body. That freaked her out, my hand being so far away and coming at her like that. So that was something we worked on a little bit more on this ride and then a lot more over the course of our time together. So you can see here that she started to get pretty freaked out by me being in the saddle. She was starting to get worse instead of better, so I just worked a little bit more and at the standstill as well, not just walking and trotting, and decided to end it on a good note a little bit later. So this was pretty good. She was moving her feet, but I kept my hand out and kept waving it and slapping on my leg until she settled. And then I asked her to move her feet some more, wave my hands some more, and she didn't really react. So I decided to end on that. So this was a few days later after we worked a lot more on trotting out comfortably. I put her on the rail and I asked her to keep trotting bigger and bigger gradually until it was more comfortable for her to pick up the lope than to just keep trotting so fast. And I keep asking her to hold the lope until she does some comfortable lope strides, then I ask her to stop. And this was a really good stop for stopping for the first time from the lope. I just asked with the seat and she came right back to me, so she got rewarded for that. So I just did a little bit more loping that day. It's important not to overdo it because it takes a while for them to find their feet and their confidence and build up some muscle at the lope, and it's really easy to overdo that. So this is where I ended Luna's ride for the day. I really hope you enjoyed watching, even though I made a few mistakes. I hope you still learned something, and make sure to subscribe and follow Luna's playlist for more training videos. Thank you.